MyMichelleLive Podcast.
My Michelle Live. My Michelle Live. Sports Time Out. The fans, the field, the faith, the fun. Here's Michelle.
It's already fun. We just start rolling and we've already had fun. It was if I don't
We've gone
press
past
go,
fun.
we're just going to be having fun behind the scenes all afternoon and take us right into the weekend. Welcome to Sports Time Out, where we take on sports news, some deeper stories associated with sports, and we always dig for the deepest story, and that's the God story. It's a message of hope. I have my brothers with me, and they are just the most fun I think I have in the week, to tell you the truth. Let me introduce you to the team. We have with us pastor, chaplain, all-around cool guy, player, coach. I don't know what all he does, but be prepared. We're going to get pinged with Garrick Pang.
Get ready to get...
Hey, Reverend, you could have just said amen.
Somebody say amen. Somebody say amen. We have with us Brent.
Author, photographer, Brent R Baker.
Yep, as we always say, that's the song that he makes his wife sing to him every single day. You think you'd be tired of hearing it. And then we have with us Del Duduit. He is a sports writer, author of some of the most, I love this because I love sports and I love Jesus, and he brings them all together in his devotional books. You will love it. Get links for Brent's books and for Del's at MyMichelleLive.com. Del Duduit. So, guys, glad to have you with us today. There's some aftermath to the big event when we talk about the Super Bowl. And, man, that was one of the more entertaining games. When you have a game where there's back and forth, overtime, you really don't know who's going to come out on top. That's the kind of... And if you don't have your team in and you can just enjoy the game, it's fun that way. I like that. Because when my team starts,
we are gonna recap predictions, aren't we?
Because there's only one person on this panel that kind of called it. Yeah, let's take that on. Garrick, go ahead. You deserve the spotlight. Seriously.
No, it was a great game, and this is the kind of game that you want the Super Bowl to be. And I was less concerned about being right in my predictions, but it was great to see the Kelsey connection, getting that first touchdown, and my prediction coming true in the end.
Yeah, it was hard to, even from the beginning as you're watching it, to see what was going to happen. You know, that first, just to grab the ball and your first time with the ball, really powering it into the end zone in that first drive. What I like to see, and I both don't, is that you saw Kansas City, the defense, and they're out there and they're like, you could see the nerves. You could literally feel it emanating from your television screen. They were just, had to take some time. Everyone does, essentially, to settle into the game. So that's where it was pretty unpredictable. You saw both teams settle in, and then it became this back and forth, Del.
Yeah, it was a great game, good competition. I think that's what everybody wants in that. You want a good close game. You want a team going back and forth. You want some scoring, obviously. And the outcome, it didn't really matter to me. I didn't have a dog in a fight. Right. But you just hate it when you talk officials, because when we talk officials, then the game loses a little bit, because it's a lot of, I don't say controversy, but a lot of griping about that afterwards, and people can't ignore that. So, yeah, when the officials come front and center, it's a lousy. Great game, lousy finish, put it that way.
Yeah, in a way, because there was that four-quarter defensive holding call that people are still talking about.
Yeah.
You mean Eagles fans are still talking about?
Yeah. It was funny because one thing is that you can't grab a Chiefs jersey and grab him, but then the Chiefs offensive tackle can headlock a Bengals defender and take him to the ground, and that's not holding. But by golly, lay off that jersey.
Those jerseys. Yeah, it's a real tough thing. We had talked about this, though, Brent, even last week, that the officials are part of the game. Yep. But when you have a something that's so despairing, it makes it really difficult, and it takes that fair competition feeling out of it.
Yeah. One of the things that I find interesting about this is you had a lot of people saying, well, they need to let them play in these situations and the officials shouldn't be making those calls. And yet it was 2-3 years ago, we had the Rams and Saints in the NFC championship game where there was an egregious pass interference penalty not called. That people say that's why the Rams got to the Super Bowl. There were still plays after that the Rams had to score to win to get to the Super Bowl. So in this case, we have the officials making a call and everybody's saying, oh, they should never have done that. I thought it was one of those 50-50s. Could have gone with it, could have not. So I didn't really have a problem with the call. From an entertainment standpoint, though, it was unfortunate because you had a great game that then ended the Chiefs correctly, just milking the clock to get the last second field goal, which would have been a lot more fun if they'd had to kick the field goal. And then you could have seen if Hurts and the Eagles could have responded and gone the distance in the final 2 minutes to tie it or win it. So if all those people who have these conspiracy theories about the NFL being scripted, I think this put a nice quash on that because there would have been your script.
I was just waiting for the officials to give a do-over.
On
that, a defensive do-over. I think they gave the Chiefs on that offensive do-over.
It was a 50-50 call. We don't know if it was defensive holding or not, so we're going to try that one again.
Yeah.
Going to the 50,000 foot level, as long as you have human referees, you're going to be dealing with this. And ideally, as you were saying, Del, it's a better situation where there's no discussion about the referees, which means that they did their job well. Because you don't notice them. The best referee is one that you don't notice. And
in this situation, though, no matter what happened,
if they didn't call it,
there would have been you would have had
one way
issue.
Or the other.
And even if it was subject to replay, then you would have had frame by frame of how far did the jersey get extended and pulled and all that kind of stuff. And then you would have had people screaming at the replay refs, regardless of which way it went. So it's just one of those. It's just one of those situations that is honestly going to happen.
I don't want the game to be so robotic and regulated and electronically monitored that it loses some of that human factor. Because I honestly think that the thing that we love about sports is that it is like an analogy for life. You have the struggles, you have the wins, you have the loses, you have the nasty calls in life that just don't seem fair. What do you do with that? As a fan, I can watch on the field and I can see how does the team handle it. And we're always inspired when someone walks off and says, yeah, that may not be the best call. I'm here in support of my team and there's always next year. And that just raises something in our spirit. So to that end, I love it. And to another end, my favorite part of the entire Super Bowl wasn't even during the game, the plays. It was at the beginning during the national anthem as Chris Stapleton was singing the national anthem and watching folks on the sidelines and watching Nick Sirianni and others tearing up. I always tear up, though. You guys know that. I say the national anthem. We're going to talk about the national anthem today. Okay. Thank you, God, for America. I'm such a dork. But it was beautiful. And they were showing it. I love that they were showing the players who quietly, without fanfare, were on the sideline taking the knee and then coming up. That just was beautiful. And it's inspirational. My favorite part. How about y'all?
Yeah, it was almost quite as good as Whitney Houston's. Right there. Yeah,
Whitney Houston's, that was beautiful. If you haven't seen it, Google her rendition.
We are old, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. Whatever.
Does that exist on YouTube or is that recorded on Stone Tablet?
Whoa, I didn't even see Josh.
No,
Josh is here. Wookie of the year.
Rookie of the Year, Josh McMillan.
Chewy, is
Josh,
that
it's
you?
not on Stone tablets. It's on a 33.
Oh, okay. All right.
Have it on VHS cassette or whatever. Yeah.
Josh McMillan, the silent partner. Josh, your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
It was a really good game until it wasn't. Up until that point, though, it was a really good game. So they got that going for it.
Oh,
I just have
funny.
a little bit of a hard time with that call in that spot. I mean, that that you could call that exact thing on pretty much every single play in football. It's a slight grab of the jersey. Yes, he did it, and good on him for admitting it. But everyone else, and many people have come to the sense saying, yeah, that happens on every play. You like to have the Super Bowl end on that when it was such a good, exciting game. It was just such a. My thoughts on
You're gonna get banned from YouTube again.
Spoken like an Eagles fan.
What people
No,
don't
I'm not even
realize-
an Eagles fan. Like, it was just like, it was such a good game on both sides. Like, it was exciting and fun. Like, it was cool not having a dog in the race.
Yeah,
I figured the Eagles would win because Patrick Mahomes being injured and so all the injuries they're dealing with, and credit to Mahomes being able to step up.
And that's what made it exciting, and that's why it had to end that way.
No, it's not. It could have ended with them making another play, or there's a million ways that could have gone that would have been exciting and not. So it's a penalty.
Could have ended with a goal line interception or something in the final 5 seconds.
It could have.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. That was very anticlimactic. It was even less exciting than the Oompa Loompas during halftime. You remember during Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when they were in little hazmat suits? Yeah. Josh, you had your own opinion of what they looked like.
Oh, yeah, they were Wampas.
From Star Wars. Yeah, that halftime show was also, to me, anticlimactic. There's been better. There's been much worse.
Yes.
The only controversial thing during the halftime show is that Rihanna did a crotch grab and a hiney grab and then act like she's smelling it, which is classless, beyond classless. But if that's as controversial as you get, I guess we're doing okay. Del, I don't know.
My thoughts
Josh?
on the whole Super Bowl thing was like the halftime show it wasn't bad, but it wasn't really good either. I mean, if you're a fan of Rihanna, you're going to love it because you love Rihanna. And it's her first time performing in a long time. So sure, you're going to love it. And props to her for doing it pregnant. That's impressive. Good for you.
Yep.
Doesn't make it a great show though. I'm not a Lady Gaga fan either. I know her music, but I've never sat down got to listen to the Gaga album. But her halftime show was awesome. It was amazing. She's a performer. She put on a performance. Rihanna, and yes, she was pregnant, so of course there's only so much you can do when you're pregnant. But it wasn't this amazing performance that really drew me in. It was like, if you don't like her music and not a fan of her music, you're just.
I'm just gonna say they totally missed the opportunity to have Kansas and the Eagles do a halftime show together.
You're right. And my one last thought is I've summed up the Super Bowl so far as the Super Bowl is, and the halftime show is meh. So. There's your summary.
There you go.
I would like to see him bring back a dog chasing a frisbee or something. Something that people will really get behind and root for. Or there's guys who do have the trampolines and do the dunks or something like that, where people are going, "Yeah, do that." Instead of an entertainer, bring up a real comedian and have him do a 20-minute stand-up. That'd be awesome.
Fun. That would be a lot of fun. Who did make a big appearance during the Super Bowl is God. And even afterwards. And actually, Del, you had a chance in the past to sit down with Patrick Mahomes, who talks about his faith. He did a lot of that post Super Bowl, which he's had a lot to say. So what he said post Super Bowl, not unlike what he has said to you in the past.
Yeah, he's always seemed to be pretty consistent in that. He says all this stuff, but then you don't see him going out and robbing a bank. So, being stupid. So he says it, and he stays out of trouble, stays out of controversy, and lives a pretty good life. He seems to back it up from what I've seen. I don't live with him, but everything I've seen him do and be and say has always been consistent. So he's always been, and he doesn't shy away from it. That's what I like. Some guys will say, "Yeah, I'll talk to you about it," and they kind of whisper. But he'll be open about it and talk about it anywhere to anybody. So I always like that. And one of my favorite ones with the interview was Derek Carr, because I asked him during the press conference because I was told to. And he was very open about it and didn't shy away from his faith in front of 50, 60 reporters. So I like that.
That's powerful to see that there was a lot of faith on both sides. And I thought that was pretty beautiful. But something else that was so funny, there was two two Jesus controversies, actually. One is a little bit bigger known and one is lesser known, but Damar Hamlin made an appearance in the Super Bowl beforehand, and they showed him a few times on screen. And if you remember, Damar Hamlin pretty much died on the field during a game after a pretty precise hit, and the country was praying for him. And there he was, fine, doing well. And he's wearing this jacket that had a depiction of Jesus on the cross. And it looked more like a SpongeBob Jesus on the cross to me.
You're right.
And some people were offended and said, hey, that's horrible. It was offensive. But you know what? No, really, it's no more offensive than, you remember the picture of Jesus we all grew up with, the long flowing golden locks and blue eyes. That's not what Jesus looked like. I'm sorry, that looked like, you know which one. It looked like Jesus' high school graduation picture or something. And it was just, it's a beautiful
Norway,
picture.
right? Yeah.
But Josh, that's just as offensive because that's not what he looked like. So it's really just, I didn't see anything that was offensive to me, but I don't know. People are always looking for offense. Josh?
Yeah. And I mean, it's like just what the kids are wearing these days, that kind of style. So
It was in. Oh, sorry, Josh.
No, go for it.
It's interesting that the criticism came from a believer.
Yes.
Came from someone who's committed in his faith. And another, I can't remember, who was it? The other.
Was it Adrian Peterson?
Yes,
Yes,
it was Adrian
actually,
Peterson.
yes.
That's
Although
right.
he's not been without controversy. I thought it was interesting coming
Just a little bit.
him.
From him.
Yeah. But I was kind of like, if it's a believer to believer thing, my take would be, okay, so if it offended you, why didn't you just call him up instead of going
And
to
that's
the
the
press?
believer thing.
It's a little
That's what we're
performative.
called to do, is to say, go to your brother and say, hey, what's up? But it's also a lesson in deference, and we show our faith in different ways.
Yeah.
Unless you have what was it back in the day when some artist had a cross in urine in a mason jar, and that was supposed to be art. That is offensive. For the most part, Christians just said, okay, yeah, that's pretty stupid, and that sucks.
It's weird, but like, he's showing his faith, so good on him.
And he didn't.
Like, we've seen weirder. We're like, are we going to pretend that Cam doesn't exist and that all of his fashion's not weird?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
the
it's
pick
weird,
thing.
but he's how he wants to show his faith. I'm not
Okay,
mad at it.
And so Damar,
I wouldn't wear
just
it,
to
but
set the
whatever.
record straight, Damar Hamlin had said, you know what, he said, I didn't mean to disrespect anyone. I have a deep faith. This was just abstract art to me. And that's where, again, we need to show deference. People live out their faith in different ways. Unless you're outright biblically unsound, then you got to live and let live. That's hence why we have so many freaking denominations.
And his humility, I think, really spoke volumes in terms of his character. One thing to stand up and try to defend yourself, but it's another thing to say, hey, if I offended you, I'm sorry, that was not my intention.
Boom.
And it's over.
Yeah.
If I get offended, I'm not going to go out and tell the world I'm offended. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and go on. And if he'd worn a SpongeBob jacket, somebody would be offended by the SpongeBob jacket.
But that's our culture today, Del.
Exactly. They get offended by anything. I didn't hear the uproar when Colin Kaepernick wore a shirt with Fidel Castro and one with Malcolm X on his shirt. They didn't burn the place down there. So I just think people just need to shut up. Just shut up.
I like
If you don't
that.
like it, shut up.
That's our next t-shirt coming out of Sports Time Out. You can pick it
Exactly.
up at MyMichelleLive.com. Just shut up.
Love it.
I like it. The other controversy, Jesus has always been controversial. It's just the way it is. And we talked about He Gets Us campaign, the He Gets Us campaign last week.
Yeah.
I loved the ads. It really didn't show elevation of any side of a political issue. It just said we all suck and we all need to love. And Jesus loves us. It was super simple. But of course, afterwards, AOC comes out and says, I'm pretty sure Jesus wouldn't have spent that much money to elevate
fascism is what she said. Yes.
The only thing I'll say about that is I think she saw that commercial. She saw that as fascism. She sees that as competition for her own form of fascism. So that was taking her people away from her because she's the only really fascist in town. So she'll say, hey, here I am. I'm the fascist. So you don't want to stick with me.
People just don't like competition. We've seen a lot of memes online too that have said Jesus wouldn't spend $14 million on an ad. He'd be housing 14 million homeless people.
Yeah.
And again, I think it goes back to what you guys were saying, that people are just always offended, Garrick. Think about it. We don't hear people going on a social media rant because they're on Facebook that says, I can't believe all of these drug companies, they're spending millions of dollars trying to sell us drugs instead of putting that money towards feeding hungry and keeping people healthy. We don't hear that.
It's a phenomenon known as selective outrage, and it's everywhere. And
It's also people needing a dictionary to learn what fascism actually is.
Yep.
Hey, one thing that I got out of this was I did not realize that it only costs $1 to house and feed a person.
Yeah.
So, which was what somebody.
What am I
said,
doing
$14
wrong?
million is house and feed 14
Hold
million
on.
people with that. I was
14
like,
million
wow, man,
Hold on.
that's pretty awesome.
What am I doing wrong? If I could house
Yeah.
$1?
Yeah.
I got to rethink my budget here.
I know, like you have a
My
a
house is getting
family
a
of
cardboard
5.
box.
Right.
Uh,
I know it's crazy. It really is. But yet as they say, no news is bad news. What they mean by that is it's really publicity. And what are people talking about after the Super Bowl? Besides the controversial call in the fourth quarter, they're talking about Jesus, guys. Right? How exciting is
good
that?
thing.
Come on.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Come
absolutely.
on. Something else I wanted to take on while we're still in football mode, and we're going to transition because there's other things going on out there besides football. But there's
Football's like the least interesting thing in sports right now.
it really is. It really is.
spring training.
But there is some shakeups going on in college. And one of those, Texas and Oklahoma have reached an agreement with the Big 12 to leave the conference after this next season. Ohio State's canceling some games I'm in Washington, so that's cray. And they're like, oh, we'll just give you $500,000, but we're walking away. We don't care about y'all anymore. So some interesting things going on in college. Anyone want to comment on that?
Well,
First, the thing about Buckeyes is I think they'll make that up. They said they want to have another home game so that they can make that up in 20 seconds. They'll make that $500,000 up by selling $5 waters at the concession stand. So it's not going to be $500,000 of them, nothing.
Easy.
Yeah, well, I think having lived in Michigan for 20 years, I can say right now it sounds like an OSU thing to do. But anyway, beyond that, it's like when with the way college football is progressing, with the SEC and Big Ten basically eating up the rest of the sport, what you end up with in the long run is no one to. You're only going to have, you create these super teams and super conferences, and it's going to just continue to fracture and narrow down. So I don't think that any of this stuff is healthy for the game. Good luck to Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. Really good luck. The next time we see them in, I guess they could make an expanded playoff. But I'd say the next time you see them in the playoff will be after they decide the SEC isn't for them and they leave.
Yeah.
And USC and UCLA in the Big Ten. I'm just looking forward to seeing all these Southern California boys going up to play in Ann Arbor and Columbus in November. That's going to be a new experience.
It's going to be a very new experience. Okay, quick question. We have a new thing going on with that but it wasn't, and that's the XFL. How do you think the XFL is going to go anywhere? They have fewer teams this year. I haven't had great communication with their media outreach people. I just don't. How serious are they? Are we going to see the XFL flourish? What are you guys' thoughts on XFL?
Well, I know that they aren't taking their logos as seriously. Big downgrade for Seattle. So I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
I don't really want the swag anymore. It's like Fisher Price My First Dragons logo.
You're not kidding, Josh. I wish I had something I could show that I could grab, but Yeah, and if you don't have a team near you, it's hard to get excited. I've seen this with Major League Rugby. I love Major League Rugby, and it has been really fun to watch, but it's starting to fizzle. And some of that is their inability to reach out, their reporting on it. When you follow, I was watching Major League Rugby quite a bit, and these kids on the sideline doing their reports, and they're wearing the jeans with the big holes in them and such. You're not going to look like a professional sport if you don't look like a professional sport. And I just don't get that feel with the XFL. Thoughts,
Yeah,
guys?
I feel like they need to make sure they're getting like actual media people on board, not people that are aspiring media. I mean, that's always good to have, get people in on all ends of the spectrum, but that means all ends of the spectrum, not just whoever just like reaches out to you and says, hey, we'd like to cover your game. No, you got to reach out to the media in your area. You got to buy in. NHL is a different beast, so it's not apples to apples here, but look at how the Kraken handled their expansion into Seattle. They built their outreach center. They were reaching out to people. They're having events. They've engaged with the community. And obviously that's on a different scale than what XFL or rugby is. The Seawolves are going to be able to hit, but it's the same idea, right?
Yeah.
And I think Garrett's trying to say something, but he's muted.
All right, I want to move on to see if there's any...
Garrett's got thoughts. He just has to...
Yeah.
He's trying to pang us.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Josh, but it's not apples to apples. And I think this is the challenge, no matter how good a club is or what they're doing, because the Sounders saw this before they had the MLS club, because I was actually the chaplain for the Sounders during the USL days, and then seeing it in transition to the MLS. And so I agree, but it is definitely a whole different animal when you have it, because we had the Thunderbirds and the Seattle hockey teams and
junior hockey.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing when you go to the NHL. And so I think from that respect, I don't really feel like you can really compare the two. And Major League Rugby, you don't have the fan base because you don't have the exposure and the understanding of the game.
You know, that there's part of that, but in the Seattle area, for example, that Major League Rugby team called the Seawolves won the Shield the first they were there the first 3 years, if I remember right, but they had sold out crowds, and that's great. Now, I don't think, and Del, you've been in the reporting and backstage area a lot. Even if you're not as big or well known as hockey or football, if you're not giving at least a professional persona, if you have high school looking kids in ripped jeans reporting on the sidelines, how easy is it to take? To me, it doesn't really matter how big you are. You can grow, but you've got to set a standard for excellence. And I'm not seeing that with the XFL, and I didn't see it with Major League Rugby.
No, we don't have a dress code, but we up in the press box, if you've ever been there, and up in those, they give us all this little speech prior to the game. This is a professional environment. You're to conduct yourself professional manner, no rooting for teams. And they also touch on dress code. If you know women are supposed to be wearing flip-flops and guys can't show up in shorts, because they'll probably be ushered out. We'd be asked to either leave or else don't go down to the locker room. So there is a unwritten dress code, but yeah, you have to be taken seriously. The only way to be taken seriously is to be a professional. And when you dress inappropriately or lousy, like you just got out of bed, then that's how you're going to be treated. And that's also the image that the league will portray.
And you know what? It's easy for me to talk about this because I'm the girl on the squad here. But I have ever had a problem with women trying to find their place in sports reporting and what to wear. When they're on the sidelines wearing, like, they look like they're going to go clubbing afterwards, and they have the big dangly earrings and the sparkly it's, you guys have it dialed in. You have the suit, you have the tie. Sometimes it's the suit without the tie. Okay. Or if you're like Clint Dempsey, it's a whole nother thing. But
I think it's easier for guys. It's easier for guys too.
There's one choice. There's a suit.
It's a suit and it's a tie.
But come on, you know what? We could do that
unless
too.
you're Terry Crews, then you have a million different colored suits, but they're still all suits.
They're all suits. But you know what? You have you have one choice because that's a standard for professionalism, and there is that for women too. And women can wear a suit, whether it's with a skirt or with pants. But the whole nightclub cutout, shoulder thing. It just doesn't, it's harder in a time where we're coming to prominence in reporting and playing and such. And then on top of it, men that identify as women can take our places. I think it's an important time, women, to step it up and be professional. I say as I'm just wearing a t-shirt and a Kraken hat, whatever. I'm not reporting, I'm just talking.
I don't think you'll see men who identify as women in a football locker room. I just don't think that would. They want to. If they want to see women, they want to see women.
Yes, yeah. You might see it if maybe we'll see some of that at the She Believes Cup, which is what I wanted to take on for our face-off issue before we get into, maybe Josh, you can prepare for a little info as to what we can expect as we get into spring training and baseball season. But the She Believes, we're going to see Canada and the U.S. women's national team face off. The women's U.S. national team is now one of the highest paid professional sports, period, not just in women's sports. And Canada is struggling with that. We're even expecting that in this soccer tournament that we'll see some protests. So I wanted to face off on that and talk about yes. How do we navigate in the future going forward payment for women, and what is a woman anyway?
I'm not a biologist, so I'm not qualified.
True story.
I mean, the answer is simple, though. You navigate it based on the market, what the market bears. With women's soccer, women's basketball, like you're paid according to the market and what your market cap is. And I know I've talked ad nauseum about women's soccer and how originally I was like, oh, yeah, they should be paid. And like, wait, they are getting paid more actually in a different way, because they don't have clubs, so they're wanting all of the benefits a club would provide for you. Just to give a quick recap, U.S. women's men's soccer was complaining because the men's counterparts got bigger bonuses, but the men's counterparts were basically making exclusively bonuses. So they were offered the exact same deal as the men, and they didn't want it because they wanted salaries and they wanted benefits instead of that. And then when they got that deal, they then still complained that they're not getting the same bonuses as the men.
It was
they wanted to be
misogyny
paid
instead of just a bad decision, which I just think reflects poorly on women. It's what, you can't make good decisions for yourself. It was a mess all the way around.
We saw it with the women's basketball too, where they're like, why aren't we paid more? It's because your sport doesn't bring in the same money. And I'm sorry, I know I'm sexist because I don't watch women's basketball here, but the reason I don't watch the Storm is because they told me if I don't want to watch them, I'm sexist. So I didn't really feel inclined to watch them, because it just doesn't ring well to me. If you want to get people to watch your sport, then get people to watch your sport, be engaging, be fun. Don't call people bad for not being interested or not having the time to invest in your sport. We have a great team here in Seattle. I know what they do. I know how good they are, but you got to actually try to engage, and don't just tell people that they're on the wrong side politically if they don't like watching you play a sport.
And that's along the lines, I don't watch a lot of basketball anyway. I like basketball. Josh, you used to play basketball, I know, but it just when things go overly political, and you know what, honestly, I go to soccer matches all the time, but Del, dude, it starts getting so political. I'm starting to feel like, I'm out. I don't get that when I go to hockey games, and I'm loving it. I get fights on the ice. It's celebrated, and the refs are there going, okay, all right, you've had enough. It's like old school sports watching hockey. So I enjoy it. I'm tired and weary of the politics. It's not very inspirational. A guy on the sidelines taking the knee and pointing upward, cool, I can handle that. That's awesome. That's inspirational. But telling me that I suck because I'm not voting the way you're voting, I can't take it. I'm out.
Yeah. And so I think they should be paid fairly.
Yes.
But they have to understand what your market cap is. If your market cap increases, then you get paid more. You should be paid proportional to the market cap. Like, I don't think the WNBA should be paid less proportionally to the market cap than the NBA players, but their market cap is considerably smaller, and in fact they are subsidized by the NBA.
No, we're going to get canceled because you're sounding an awful lot like a capitalist, Josh. Let's talk baseball, shall we?
It's a problem I have. It's a disease.
Let's talk baseball.
Thankfully, yes. Happily talk baseball. That's the real exciting thing that's going on right now. I don't know about all this football nonsense and junior varsity teams you guys are talking about with Fisher Price. My first football. It's baseball season, baby. Pitchers and catchers reported this week for spring training for the Mariners out in Peoria, Arizona.
Oh, you're so cute. The Mariners report by Josh, because that's his team. That's precious.
That is my team. They're reporting out
Hey,
there.
but they're relevant now.
They are relevant.
Finally.
They are relevant, despite what everyone might still try to think. And I've seen a lot of reports of, the Mariners, they got maybe 85 wins, so they're regressing despite having arguably the best rotation in baseball for starting pitchers, having improved along their lineup. I don't know. I'm very excited for what the season has to bring. And there are some questions for these Mariners. The biggest being, can Jared Kelenic step up to the plate and be who we thought and know Jared Kelenic could be? He's a guy who didn't struggle pretty much at all on his way up to the big leagues and then has struggled mightily. He's going to be protected this year, though. And Jerry DiPoto said as much, that they didn't really protect him in the way. They brought him up and he struggled at times, and he does not bat well against lefties. He bats well against right-handed pitching. And when sometimes he'd get in his head after going against a tough lefty and not being able to get a hit. This year, they brought in AJ Pollock, who is aging a little bit, kind of on the tail end of his career, but the guy mashes lefties. He mashes lefties, and he'll be a great platoon, so Kelenic can just bat right and see if he can come along. But yeah, this team is very exciting. I'm so stoked to see what we get. I want to go to spring training one of these days. I need to get down there.
I think that's a good idea. I've gone many times to spring training, and it's pretty exciting. The energy, it has the feel of going to a college game, which has an entirely different feel than going to a professional ball game. And it's just a lot looser and more fun. I absolutely love it. Getting into the excitement of spring and baseball. Yeah, I do love it. Guys, it's time for us to take our final shot. Let's do
Final
it.
shot.
Garrick, Pang us.
I'm going to give my final shot to Jesus. Just laying it out there because
With the SpongeBob Jesus or Nordic Jesus? Which one are we talking here?
you can
Abstract art Jesus.
Look out for the lightning. No.
Here's the thing, and you make a great point, is that Jesus weathers it. However people talk about him, however they express themselves, and whatever it might be, he is who he is, and there's nothing that can be done to bring him down. There's nothing that can be done to make him any greater than he is, because he is who he is.
Man, who wants to follow that? Brent.
Mine is about an article. So I'll give the final shot to a reporter named Greg Bishop, who did work for the Seattle Times. I don't remember exactly when, but he wrote an article for Sports Illustrated last week about probably the worst moment in Seattle sports history, but one of the most spectacular endings to a Super Bowl for an objective fan, which was the Seahawks Patriots in Arizona 8 years ago, because that was where the Super Bowl was this time. It was the first Super Bowl since that infamous Malcolm Butler interception of Russell Wilson in the end zone, where it looked like the Seahawks were going to win their second Super Bowl in a row, and they didn't. But this article, he goes really deep into how that impacted both organizations. It probably launched Tom Brady into the second half of his career, where he won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years after not having won for 10, and how it really was the downfall of what looked like was going to be a Seattle dynasty, never turned out to be. There was just a quote from it that actually what really got me going into it is because Marshawn Lynch, who was known for not saying a whole lot when he was a player, I think his best quote was, "I'm just here so I won't get fined," at the Super Bowl press conference. But he talks a lot in this story about how it's really interesting to be a guy who is best known for a play that he had nothing to do with.
Yeah, a play where he didn't touch the ball.
He didn't touch the ball. There's a lot that he said in this, so it was very insightful. Notably, I didn't talk to Russell Wilson.
You can't get a hold of him unless you talk to him.
You can't get a hold of it. But it was a really good article that went far beyond just the really emotional nature of how that game ended.
Yeah, and I think
I really think if I were a Seahawk fan, I would look at that and say that was the best Super Bowl ever, because there was a whole lot that went into that game, back and forth, just amazing plays and unsung heroes and all sorts of stuff that completely got lost in the way that game ended.
But that's really that deeper story, isn't it? Because that's where in life and in the game, what defines you? What is it that defines you? It did change the makeup and the attitude of the Seahawks, because that winner, that was what defined them, losing that and losing face and bad decisions. And I guess that's something to think about for the deeper story. Del, hang on. Let's go to Josh for his final shot.
Yeah, my final shot, I'm actually going to take a shot here and give some advice to Russell Wilson. Man, your whole charity thing, you've done some real good out there, but you got to take accountability. And we saw him have issues taking accountability when his last year here, when there was a couple times Pete called him out. I was like, I've done that a million times. So, I just got to trust myself. Like, when you mess up, take accountability. When your charity is spending 25 cents on the dollar, instead of saying, like, oh, we've done all this good, and then posting Instagram pics with the CEO of a private jet company, take accountability. Like every other Walter Payton Man of the Year that was interviewed in that story said that, yeah, I want to do better. Russell Wilson was the only one that they couldn't get in contact with. So Russell Wilson, fire Mark Rodgers, get someone around you that can tell you no and do better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. Del, you're going to be last, but before you go, because mine's kind of anticlimactic, my final shot is going to go to 3 baseball movies, because I'm getting ready for spring training, and all of them have elements of faith. 2 of them are older. One is A Mile in His Shoes, which is based on a novel, and it tells the story of a minor coach that finds this autistic young man that's throwing apples to his pigs like a pro. And he elicits him to play, and Dean Cain stars in this. It's a good film. There's another older film called The Final Season with Sean Astin. It's another, has a lot of strong faith elements, and one that is available right now on PureFlix. It's called Running the Bases, and it loosely resembles Coach Joe from Bremerton, Washington, who would take a knee after the games and had to go all the way to the Supreme Court in his fight. So 3 baseball movies get you in the mood for spring training. Del, bring us home.
I'm glad you gave me more time, because I had actually forgotten to about that.
We didn't put that in the email. Remember, you're looking up your final shot.
Yeah. So you guys are talking like, the only thing that popped in my mind is I'm going to get a little nostalgic here. Back in 1986, the week of the NBA All-Star Week, which is, that was the first NBA 3-point contest. And if anybody ever wants to see one of the greatest shooters ever in this world, go back and replay that. That's when Bird came out. Larry Bird it was the first year, was the inaugural season for that event, for the 3-point shootout. Misses his first shot and hits 11 3-pointers in a row. 11 in a row. Then he goes then the next 7, he has 3, banks a 3-pointer on purpose. He said he did it on purpose. And then finishes the last rack 3 of 5. And to hit 11 3-pointers in a row is, and people talk about Steph Curry, whatever. 11.
I can't even make 11 baskets in a row.
So
between that
and watch that.
And Michael Jordan in his prime in the dunk contest, that was really one of the golden eras of the NBA.
It was. That Dr. J's Rock the Cradle dunk is the greatest of all time.
I love it. I think we all want to give at least a kind of shout out to Garrick's pick, because that is the greatest of all time. Jesus Christ, you can't go wrong there. That's the God story and the source of inspiration for whatever game you're playing in life. If you want to see a victory in the end through the ups and the downs, put your faith where it really belongs. Thank you for watching, listening. Brothers, thank you for joining with me. It's been a lot of fun. We'll catch you next time. Don't forget to listen, comment, whatever it is you're going to do it at MyMichelleLive.com.
For more fun, go to MyMichelleLive.com.